Good evening. It is I, Roncar. It is my pleasure to be with you here this evening to seek to answer your questions, to help you if it is possible to give you some help in whatever is happening in your lives. I hope you enjoyed the meditation this evening. It is a good exercise to recognize yourself as being one with God, to know that you are also God, since you are one with Him. We, meaning you and me, that we are all part of God. And we live within the love of God. We exist because of the love of God. The love God had for His idea, which inspired Him to manifest this whole universe. And that He manifested it in such a way that it would sustain itself. And this is something that I would also like you to realize and be aware of, that this universe, this world, will sustain itself, that new growth always occurs, that death is part of living. Transition happens, and you move into your true self when you die, because you lose the illusion of the physical world. The physical world is composed of many illusions. The material things that you feel are hard are merely illusions. Your friends, what you think you know, these too are illusions. And it is interesting that your scientists try to understand the world, and they have done a good job, but sometimes they are still on the wrong track, because that which they imagine to be true is nothing but an illusion. And when they can understand that, then they can look into the underlying powers of manifestation, and they will be able to find God, although they may not recognize Him, because they are confirmed in their illusions and the things that they believe. And so when you are worried about anything, remind yourself that it is an illusion, that everything will work out. Make that affirmation, because your mental thoughts massage this creation and make it different. It is individualized. Everyone has a different viewpoint, a different understanding, because it is all an illusion. And so it is part of yourself that you are manifesting and broadcasting and thinking about, that makes your world exactly what it is. Choose to make a happy world. Think happy thoughts. Do not worry. Know that everything works out, and everything is an illusion which can be changed through your thoughts. You can transform the world in which you live to whatever you want it to be, through your thoughts, your words, your decisions, your actions, and your perceptions. And your perceptions are the strongest influence upon your world. So keep yourself centered if you can. Know that everything will work out just fine. Do not worry, and create the best world that you can for yourself. Now, are there any questions on what I have spoken about, or any questions that you would like to ask? Yes, could you say your question again? Yes, exactly. What you perceive as me within the medium is an illusion. There are physical bodies, your physical bodies are somewhat of an illusion, and you are correct in that. Are there any other questions?
I was wondering, Roncar, how many times did Jesus reincarnate?
How many times did what?
Did Jesus reincarnate?
Did Jesus? Oh, well, I cannot give you a number. Suffice it to say that it was enough for him to come to his true realization as God, as the Son of God, as he proclaimed himself. But it is the same as being God. It was most politically correct to claim to be the Son of God. It was more easy for people to take and understand that than it was. So I cannot give you a number of incarnations. And it really isn't important. So I hope you do not mind if I cannot answer that question.
No, I only asked because I had read something where some people believe that that Jesus reincarnated into Merlin. And I was just wondering about that.
Oh, was Jesus, one of Jesus's incarnations as Merlin the magician,
Yes.
which was in I guess it was in the Dark Ages. One moment, I will try to look that up for you, for that is a question that is more easily answered than the number of incarnations for Jesus. Yes, you can accept that if you wish that that was one of his incarnations. However, the myth of Merlin was quite different than the actual lifetime of Jesus as Merlin. So you have to realize that there has been a story built up around Merlin, which was not 100% accurate, which is all right. Do you have another question?
No, not at this time. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question, Roncar.
Yes.
What is at work when we know what we should do, but we choose not to do it?
And your question was, the first part of your question, I was not too sure of the word that you said. Would you repeat that?
Right. What is at work? What is going on?
What is happening when you know what you should do and you do not do it?
Right.
Oh, well, I think it is just a human aspect. What is at work is that you are procrastinating in taking what you perceive as to be a somewhat distasteful job and taking it and getting it done. That is, I believe, what is at work most of the time. It is what you would call procrastination, meaning you put off doing that when you know you should be doing it. Sometimes you may be afraid of the consequences, but I believe most of the time it is a matter of distaste for what you are required or should be doing. You cannot see a reward for that, and so you do not do that. Is there a follow-up question?
Yes, thank you. It seems that there's such a strong willfulness, almost like getting stuck in the terrible twos of saying, no, I don't want to do that. So it's I don't understand the struggle of wills. And I don't know why I have this conflict within me.
Well, what conflict specifically are you refusing to do? What work is it you do not wish to do? Perhaps I can change your perception.
Walking for exercise.
Yeah, I understand that. Yes. It does not make you feel good. That is why you do not want to do it. There is nothing there interesting for you. And it takes up time. And there's other things you'd rather be doing. Even just relaxing is preferable to doing that. So
Right.
how can you motivate yourself to take a walk when you don't want to? And I think the best possible way is to find a walking place or route that you enjoy or that you would enjoy, a place in particular that you find that you like to be. Now, it may not be the place most people go to take a walk. Perhaps you would like to go to a large store, such as Walmart, if you have one close by, and just walk up and down the aisles and look at all the things that are there that you could possibly buy. You can browse if you wish, meaning not continue to walk, just stay in a quick pace, but stop and look at it and examine the merchandise and then move on. And you can make a route so that you might not want to spend too much time standing still, but you could certainly walk up that aisle another time in simply altering your direction and coming back and looking again and walking around till you have found the information that you want, and then move on to look at other things that you could possibly buy or choose not to buy, just that you might find amusing. Now, something that you like or a store that has things that you would like would be an easy way to take a walk. See, it isn't that you need to walk on the road or that you need to walk on a path somewhere and you have to walk on a treadmill. Well, some people like that and they put their TV sets on and walk. And so that makes it just a way to watch TV. You could always do that. But by choosing a place that you would like to visit, then walk around it and visit it. And that is your walk. It doesn't have to be odious or difficult. Choose some place that you would like to go and walk around it And that is sufficient for your exercise. You just do not think of that sometimes because that is a pleasure that you don't allow yourself to do, to spend times looking at various merchandise and deciding whether you wanted to buy it or whether you would give it as a present to someone, and that would make your walk very pleasurable. Do you think you could do that?
Oh, that feels so right.
Yes, that is what you need to do if you with a walk.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Much better, but it is just as helpful to your health as walking in the country or walking anywhere. You can even walk around your supermarket and just go up and down the aisles, and you don't have to go fast, but you could go fast in the area you're not interested. And other times you walk more slowly. And if you are walking for half an hour in your favorite store, you are looking at clothing, you are looking at different things, appliances, who cares what it is? It's still a half an hour of exercise.
Thank you, Roncar.
You are most welcome. Are there other questions?
I'm going to chime in here. There's plenty of people that walk around my store and they have no intention of buying anything, just for the pleasure of walking around, and like you said, on a rainy day, or just bored in the house, or they're planning a future project and they want to get on it. So from the other end, being the salesperson, you're right on time with that one. Plenty of people, or the mall. I'm told that a lot of people walk the mall and they have it mapped out, even the distance involved. So that's another place to go, is the mall on a either sunny or dreary day. But I don't want to take up any more on that topic.
Absolutely. And what's even better is it is either air conditioned or heated. So on cold days, it's a place to be warm, and on hot days, it's a place to be cool.
Thank you
Yep.
both.
My question to you, because you were
Yes.
saying about, well, definitely the law of attraction and your attraction point, doing the things that you want to do and averting the things that you don't want to do. And I'm noticing with young people today, particularly, and some of it I do applaud, because they want to make more money than what, my generation, the boomer generation, put up with. And I think that's fantastic for them. On the same token, though, they felt a sense of entitlement as well. It's like a balancing point. And I see it with my own kids. I mean, Raymond is hustling just to pay the rent, doing Uber Eats. Nothing's taken off, and not even his tutoring position, which he should have heard something by now. I'm wondering, and I've said to him, go to the pool, just to get his vibration up. And of course, the pool isn't working. The I guess the chlorine, I don't know, there's some problem with the pump, who knows, for him to get any kind of relief to set the attraction point. But as months and months go on and nothing has developed, and to throw a wrinkle in it, I called up my insurance company to ask to put towing on. He's had flat tires. Indianapolis is notorious, apparently, for not cleaning the streets. And so a metal piece was in the tire, and it was a plug. And then, he's already had like 3 flat tires, and the towing's expensive. The last one will hopefully be on Uber Eats. He was in the middle of a route going, I guess, either to the home or to pick up the food. But when I talked to my insurance company, they said, that he should be on his own policy and all this other stuff. And I'm like, what can of worms did I just open up here? And I said, it's our car. We still have New Jersey plates. It hasn't been given to our son. He's not working per se. He's trying to make ends meet, let alone take on a car payment. I was wondering about the attraction point, because this keeps building up. Is there any relief? And also, did I trigger anything with the insurance agent or the company itself to cause a problem if we have any towing or any issues with his car based on the statement that I made? I ended up hanging up the phone. I was so upset with them after being with them over 40 years.
I'm sure that your explanation that it was still your car will enable you to continue to have that on the same policy, but it may be a difficulty because they sometimes ask, where is it garaged? But I am no expert on insurance policies around the United States, or even how insurance policies work very well. So I think you have done the best that you could do in the circumstances. Now, one of the questions you're asking me, the attraction point, and you could look at it and see that the flat tires, in a sense, were attraction points, that he may not be happy doing this job. And these are, in a sense, unfortunate situations which prevent him, for at least a period of time, from working. So he may not be happy with this, but there's one thing, that he should be able to change his own tire and drive to a spot that will allow him to, which will be able to fix his flat tire for him. That would be, there are many garages and places that can do that. So you would not necessarily need the towing if he would make the effort to change his own tire.
The
I'm sure
lugs were
he
so
knows how
tight.
to do that because he is an engineer.
Yeah, no, the lugs were so tight. Raymond tried. He even jumped on the lug wrench. And my father was a mechanic. It's not unusual for them to use, you know, a battery driven,
A compressor driven.
but it over tightens the lugs. It's supposed to be 17-pound pressure. That I do know. I remember that from my father. And most of the time, when you get a tire put on, they are in a rush. They want to get to the next car and they're not adjusting it. And even when the guys took the tire off to repair it, they struggled themselves with power equipment. So on the side of the road with just a lug wrench, and again, he tried, he couldn't even get it off, which I thought was ridiculous. But nonetheless, it was what it was. You know, I'm just full of angst, and every month goes by. I appreciate him not giving up. But
Yes, he must continue. He needs to attract the job to himself. And why is he not attracting the job to himself? That is part of what you are asking in, or have avoided asking because you don't like the answer. And obviously, he is not, I believe he is desirous of work, or he is willing to work. That is not the problem. The problem, I believe, is in his confidence in himself to excel and be good at his work. Yes, I believe that is his problem. So perhaps he could begin to use some affirmations about having confidence in himself and his abilities to succeed in his given profession, because he knows everything that he needs to know. And he has exercised in school conditions how to use these tools, and has done satisfactory work, but he has not been able to get a new position. And I believe that is a matter of self-confidence that is blocking him, and he needs to grow in confidence and not getting responses to his resume. Perhaps his resume needs to be revised so that in the term of this algorithms, I believe, something like that, in which the computers make searches. He is not coming up in his searches, so he is not getting as much possibilities of interviews to gain confidence in his interview and himself in interviewing situations. And so these are making it very difficult for him to find the kind of employment that he would like. And again, he must consider looking outside the area he is currently living, just being open to any job which might work for him. And I know that he is, but he is looking in a smaller area. And it may not be the area that is the best for his area of expertise. The kind of factories and plants and engineering areas may not be the right ones in his locale. So these are things that you could look into that may possibly help you, help him to succeed. And once he starts to succeed, he will develop confidence.
I agree completely. He even went for a job that was an hour away, and they weren't too thrilled that it was going to be an hour's drive. And he made it clear that he could relocate. Like, Raymond hasn't really stood in the way of anything as far as landing something. In that regard, I think it's more the fact how he presents himself at the interview. Like you said, confidence. They're looking for externships or work experience, which he has very little to none. And he made a comment because I said, I kept telling you over and over, it's who you know, not what you know. And he said, so what was I supposed to do in college? Just party, make all these connections, and the heck with my academics, let the grades slip or whatever. They kept saying that if you get good grades, you'll be successful. And I said, Raymond, this point in time, it's who you know. It's not what you know. Everyone I know, everyone just about, has a connection, some kind of connection with the company, an employee that can vouch for them, fill in the blank, whatever. It's expensive to train people. It's expensive to lose people. They don't want, to take an unknown, if you will, and, give it a shot, and it doesn't come to fruition. Obviously, what happened to him back in February was a huge blow to him. I mean, he's bounced back before, and he gets up every day and he goes out the door, and he's applied to different jobs and whatnot. And I applaud him for that's why I have such a hard time reining him back in here, because number one, it's not good for my mental hygiene. That's a fact. And two, I don't think it'll be good for him having him come back, at least without a job. If he comes back with a job, and that would be great. I don't want to take up everyone else's time with this kind of thing. Lastly, because I don't want to take up a lot of time here, because there's other people to speak. I have a weird situation at work. I can't go into detail, but I know something that can get two people fired. One person's leaving for health reasons. The other one is still here. We have to drive numbers for the month. This individual beat me. I don't mind being beat legitimately, but I have a real hard time dealing with when the stats come out, shutting my mouth and not saying anything. That this person basically cheated. Does it mean anything really? And in reality, whether this person beat me for a month, not really overall, it's not going to affect things. What it does affect is the ability to run the department, take care of customers, which this individual excels at. I mean, this individual has all the tools, with the exception of the knowledge that I have in appliances. I mean, no one's got my background, but you can learn, and this individual absorbs everything that I throw at it, and I mentor this individual up because I like doing it. I have no need to not. It benefits the department, it benefits the individual, it benefits me actually. I'm not cleaning up messes, but what's your take on how I should handle this? Because that Aries ego is going to come out, and hopefully I don't regret saying something that could potentially get this person fired. I've already talked to an individual higher up that stepped down from the position and only works there on occasion, but a pretty high up person. And, that's pretty much it. Would this person actually be fired? And would there be any retribution or fallout regarding me in this matter? Thank you.
Well, I am confused, as you seem to be confused, as whether this person is an asset to the department. It has nothing to do with the fact that he may have done something that he should not have done and could be cause for firing. You used the term he cheated. Somehow he manipulated statistics to achieve his goal, which was, of course, to be a great salesman, to do better than you in your statistics for at least 1 month. So is he good for the department, or did what he do is so terrible that he should not be allowed to continue to work there, because it is something that is either really bad for the company or really bad for the department, if it ruined morale or caused others to lose sales by something he was doing. And obviously he has the charm and the ability to step in, perhaps when someone else is talking to a customer, and take over. And then there might be question as to whose sale was that. But I feel that you're also confused as to what the answer is for that issue. Is it okay? Is it something that happened that it doesn't matter? It's not affecting the department, and by the grace of God, so to speak, it has not affected the company or the store itself. No ill effects came out of that, even though it is not something that is allowed. And you need to be clear on that. And that is going to be your guide as to whether or not you want to have him removed. I would recommend that you try not to have someone removed. If he's at all a help to the department in which you work, if he is good with customers, as you say, I would tend to say that you are not going to tell him that you are not going to report him, and that he should not do this thing again, and continue to keep him if he is an asset to the department. If he is not an asset to the department, then it is up to you whether you wish to.
Well, what I did was I cut off the supply chain, shall we say. We all have help to a degree. If there's a sale in another department, I like to know if it's something big or whatever. I'll be more than happy to engage the customer, close the deal in another department. We're encouraged to do that. It's not a problem. But what was happening was sales were being put into this individual's number on the individual's off day. It's one thing when I'm running around like a chicken throughout the day, trying to bag numbers, in other departments, which is, again, we're supposed to do that. We're supposed to assist the customers. It's irrelevant who helps, as long as the customer gets help. But this individual apparently had someone assisting on the off days, and it was caught by another individual, brought to my attention. And I went to the individual who was supplying numbers for that person, and I said, don't do it again. Like cease completely here, because it's not fair to everyone. And that individual did stop, and then the numbers started evening out, because it was making me and my other colleague look bad, like, hey, what's going on here? Like, that's not fair. And these were things that were just things that needed no maintenance, if you will. You can walk in and grab something and then walk out the door kind of thing, carry with. So there wasn't any paperwork or follow-up. It's just easy numbers given to the individual. And I was shocked, because I was running around so hard for a month. And I even said to the individual, boy, I'm still chasing you a week later. And I didn't even think about anything like that, because my head doesn't go in that direction. Have people tossed me sales? Sure, they have. But they also copy me in. I'm there on the floor during that period. I appreciate it. I do the follow-up if need be, that kind of thing. And I don't like that given to me always. I tell them to rotate it. If there's something big at the front, call the next person next, in my department. So it's fair to everyone. So we all have a chance at something like that, because they don't want to deal with the orders anyway. If there's a problem or whatever, it means nothing to them. They're just, regular associates. They don't have to answer to productivity numbers, sales per hour. And then we're based on bonus off those numbers. And I got in trouble stupidly with this, because of this individual not doing this individual's job it's a long story. It has nothing to do with this incident. It's something else. And the customer got upset and told the manager. Meantime, I was professional. And the customer knew this individual for years, embellished, and told my manager something that wasn't truth. So that's why I also have a sore spot right now about this individual, because I got in trouble indirectly from this person. And here I know what this person's up to, though I stopped it. It's not going on anymore. I completely nipped it in the bud. And I've been checking on the off days. No numbers are in that individual's number that it was before. But it still annoys me, but I think there'll be fallout for myself. I never want to get anyone fired. It's not my intention. I try to work with everyone, even if there's some issues with them, I try to coach and mentor them. I try to turn people around, and I'm not perfect myself. So who the hell am I to think I'm above anyone? I'm not. I try to work collaboratively with people, but this individual went so far above and beyond to take me out, which I thought was just over the top. And then, like I said, I found out. So I appreciate your advice, but I just wanted to know if it was brought to the attention of management, would I have fallout from it? Thank you. I'm going to shut up so everyone else.
You see, your final question there was a bit different than your beginning question. And so you wanted to know if you would have fallout if it was brought to management's attention. I don't know why you would have fallout if you were not involved, except through the telling of what you knew to have happened. And that is that is something that you have to decide for yourself. In the sense, it is a test of your ethics and morals. The other individual has already been tested and shown not to have as much. So sometimes it is better to not aggravate the situation further if there is no need to do so. And you have taken care of that and are making sure that it is not an issue anymore for your personal success. It's the way I will phrase it, it will not affect your personal success anymore because you are being cautious about this. If it does not, if it raises its head again, well, then by all means, perhaps you need to make it known. But if it does not, it is better to let the sleeping dog lie and to not bring up another thing of contention. Hopefully the issue will not surface again. I don't know whether you address the individual directly yourself or not, and I am not sure of your level of authority within the department and what you are required to do and should do in these circumstances. So it is difficult for me to answer otherwise, other than the guidance I have already given you.
Yeah, thank you. I did not address the individual because I know the individual will deny it or say that I do the same thing, which I don't. It'll be confrontational. And I thought it was best to do an old Army tactic. You cut off the supply line and you do it from the source. And that's what I
Yes.
did. This individual is not aware, and the other individual is moving on, taking a medical leave anyway. And I've planted seeds at the front that all rings, if there's something big up there, has to be rotated through, and to monitor and make sure that it's not given to just one individual. But thank you so much for the information. On a sidebar note, the rashes that I've had on my legs, for Dr. Benjamin's benefit, they are fading. One is still there, but it's much smaller. I did buy the A&D ointment, so I wanted to extend that to Dr. Benjamin. A thank you.
You are most welcome. I believe he has heard your report. Thank you very much. Are there any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
So how come like sometimes like, you know, if you go to like one of those psychic places and they have like the healers and the shamans, and then they want to set up appointments to do like healing or go to your house and do like a cleanse or something like that. How come some of them have like sicknesses? Like, for example, like they have to get a heart stent put in, or they have cancer, or they're recovering from a heart attack or something like that. If they're legit healers, wouldn't they only get the tiniest sicknesses like colds and like little things? So I question myself, is it them taking in all the energies from the people they're doing work on and not knowing how to release the energy out of their body that's causing these ailments? Or are they just the fraudulent ones that are just trying to make money?
An excellent question. First of all, being a healer does not stop you from getting sick. It is just the way it is. You are subject to all the illnesses. Now, why do they continue to be sick? Why have they contacted, in this particular case, some of the illnesses you mentioned, such as recovering from heart attacks, needing stents? If these people are elderly, this could be just part of their body that is failing, so to speak, because the physical body does fail. It does not stay in a great health, because there are very few people who live to 110 or 120. So this has to do with, the physical body simply fails over time. The law of attraction, they could be doing, go back to, I don't want to go back to the law of attraction. They could be individuals who don't know how to not absorb the illnesses or difficulties of other people, although most healers learn these things relatively quickly, because if every time you heal someone you get sick, you're not likely to continue to be a healer. So it is possible that they are ignorant of ways to clear themselves. I cannot say whether they are frauds just because they got sick. As I have said, depending upon their age, it is doubtful that they are being fraudulent. People in their 50s, 60s, 70s, they can get sick. If it is somebody who is 35 and they are having a heart attack, well, that they may not know how to cleanse themselves. You will have to judge some of these situations for yourself. It is difficult to heal yourself. You can do that. It is easier to not get sick than it is to heal yourself. But if you can learn to monitor your mind, to think, not worry, to think good thoughts, clear thoughts, to organize your life well, then you will probably experience a happy life, one that is free from emergencies and difficulties, and you won't need a healing. So it is better to work on yourself, on your mind and the way you think and the actions that you take. Are you doing the right things to create a good life for yourself? Or are you inadvertently perhaps causing difficulties for yourself by some of your actions and your decisions? If that is the case, then you need to work on your mind, not so much go for healing. Although the healing will help you, and the healing should also help you discover the difficulties in your thought and your way of being. And so you can so a healing may be helpful anyway, because healings will do that. They will attack that which causes you the difficulty. And if it is in your thoughts, you may begin to think different things, or you will begin to think about your thoughts and what you were thinking and how did you attract this and how did you cause this. So where your question started out, such as, can healers or will healers, if they are good healers, manage not to get sick themselves? And that is not a given. Many of them get sick, and it can be through work. It can be, as you surmise, that they are not good at letting go and getting rid of the vibrations that they pick up while they are healing someone. The best healers know how to insulate themselves that way. So that is usually not your problem. And it could be an example of, they are mediocre healers, so to speak. They can heal because anybody can heal. They can heal, but they have not yet learned how to shield themselves from the vibrations of the people that they are healing. So I hope I have answered your question.
Yes, thank you.
You are welcome. Are there other questions?
In speaking of healing, is it not true that people are not doing the healing anyway? They're just transferring an energy, and they're the conduit between God and the person that they're helping. So if they got sick, they got sick. They're really not doing the healing.
Well, yes, you are correct in that they are, in many times, they are merely a channel by which the healing flows from God through them to the person that they are trying to heal. However, many people, when they are healing, are using their own energies of healing. And so they are not channeling the healing directly from God. They are using the energies that they have within themselves. So this can exhaust them. It is better for the healer to recognize that, as you said, they are the conduit, they are the channel of healing energies from God. After all, we are all part of God. And so God's healing energies are resident within ourselves because we are with God in all ways, at all times. And so even if you consider my statements of using your own healing energy, you are still using God's healing energy. And yes, they would not necessarily get sick from healing someone else, because it should be coming from God to the person and not backing up, so to speak, into the healer's body. But some healers open themselves up to such a degree, and as they are often empathetic or empaths, they can absorb the other person's energy easily. People think it's really special to be an empath. It's rather, it should be recognized as a handicap. I think some of them do recognize it as a handicap, but they like to keep that sensitivity about themselves. And so they do not really truly want to get over being an empath. They want to keep being an empath. While they should realize that they do not have to be an empath to be a good healer or a good psychic. Are there other questions?
Well, going back to Jesus and his reincarnations, is he still reincarnating now at this present time? And how would we recognize him?
Probably, and I cannot speak with authority. Jesus, one moment. I'm sorry for the delay. He does seem to be incarnated at this time. However, it seems that he is in a small, remote village, and he is part of, he does healing, and he is a quiet leader in that particular area, helping the people to survive and be clear in their association and the one that they have with God. He is not in a public ministry at this time, not in the sense that he did when he came in as Jesus. There is not a reason for him to be here now, so to speak. He is not there. So how would you recognize him? He would be simply, I am sure, just a good individual who is honest and probably helpful, and not anybody in particular. So you would not recognize him because he doesn't choose to be in a public ministry in this lifetime, that he is experience that comes along at this time. So you need to realize that just because he had a lifetime in which he was a public speaker and did what he needed to do and to be subject to the situation in which his life as Jesus was difficult and led to his crucifixion, death, and we all resurrect. Except he could maintain his appearance in the physical, that he would not have to have a special lifetime. And it is important to remember that lifetimes are not sequential. There can be lifetimes far in the future as well as in the past. So your lifetime can jump around, and that is very confusing to answer and to understand, that a person such as Jesus could have a lifetime at this time, 2,000 years after his incarnation as Jesus. How could he be alive now and be subject to the stories of himself as Jesus the Christ, when he himself had that incarnation, but is now in a different one, and looks on that not as his history, but as the same it is for you and for me? That although I know him now, there were incarnations when I did not know him. So the story of reincarnation can be difficult to understand. And this lifetime that is occurring right now may have actually preceded, if you were to put them in order of the time he incarnated on the earth plane, that would have occurred before he became Jesus of Nazareth. And that is hard to understand. But it might have been a necessary step in his understanding and perfection of who he was as the Son of God. Some of these things should not be tried to figure out too perfectly. He had an incarnation as Jesus of Nazareth. The incarnation he is in at this time may have been in his past before he was Jesus of Nazareth, confusing as that may seem, and may have been part of his development. Are there other questions?
I have another question.
Yes.
It's Karen. My older brother is depressed a lot, and I want to try to help lift him up. And I'm trying to find the line between helping and letting him find his own way.
That is an excellent aim. I assume you're looking for some advice on how to walk that line.
Yes.
And the advice that I would give you at this time is merely to continue to try to walk that line. There will be some days when you are successful in motivating him and making him less depressed. And there are other times you will not be able to do this successfully, because it is the nature of his illness, his leaning to depressive thoughts and embracing the thoughts and thinking them over and over, that this illness is not something that you can easily fix. You must just continue as you have been to encourage him to engage in interesting things. I don't know what word to say. Something that he would be interested in, or he has an interest in, or try to make him interested in something that he could develop an interest in. Because if he would stop thinking about himself and get interested in something, he would be less depressed.
Yes.
But part of the difficulty is that while he is depressed, he has no interest in anything. And trying to distract him is a difficult task. So the journey that you are on of walking the fine line with trying to help him, but also trying to encourage him to help himself, is a difficult one. And some days you may feel that you are being successful, and other days you will know that you are not being successful, because he is rejecting your help. He is not wanting to accept it. And this is partially due to his disease and his habit of looking at the difficult side of things and examining things in such a way that he sees more reasons to be depressed.
Yes.
It's simply an almost impossible task. And I would give you advice, except that you are doing your best and to not be attached. Do you understand what I mean by that?
I believe so.
Just do not be attached to him being healed or the success of your work. Just do what you can and release it and let it go. And either, if it works, wonderful. If it doesn't work, you did your best. And that is all you can do in being not attached. Do your best and let it go. Are there any other questions? It is getting late.
I'm searching for a way to see him differently, that in my own way, that might remove the attraction he has to sharing depression with me. I can't tell if he's trying to teach me something, or if he's trying to teach me to leave him alone.
Excellent observation. Either way, he is teaching you something you don't want to learn. So,
Okay, I have some hope.
just the way you have phrased your question, be aware that you are assessing the situation probably correctly. and that he doesn't want to move from his depression, in which case he would like you to leave him alone in his depression. Not that he truly wants not to see you, but
Right.
just to allow him to be. Now, the important thing for you, and then, is that he is not allowed to talk about any of his depressive thoughts with you.
Wow.
Do not allow that conversation. Say, no, I am not going there. And
Wow.
I want to talk about, think of something you want to talk about, or I want you to tell me what you accomplished today. That's what I want to hear about. Was there anything interesting that you did?
Okay.
Do not let him drag you into his depression, but I think that is the one that will help your relationship with him. And in a sense, it will not help you to see him differently, but because you are not allowing him to discuss or bring up some point that he is very depressed about, then I think you will find that you are happier in your relationship with him.
Yes. I told him today that I was proud of him for something that he did, and he genuinely sounded pleased.
Well, that was good then.
That was good. And I try to remind him of his skill sets, the things that he knows how to do, that he can show other people how to do them. And so he can use them for himself if he sees them, if he remembers what he can do.
Well, that is a good idea also.
Mm.
Doing the best that you can, but just do not allow him to discuss telling you about his depression and anything else that he experienced, which he will view in the most unsatisfactory way, even if it could be a good thing.
Yes, I do want to detach from his attachment to that.
Right.
Mm.
And you do that by not allowing him to talk about it.
Thank you. Thank you,
You're
Roncar.
welcome. So I think it is time for me to say goodnight. We still have a few minutes left, and Juana wants to come in, of course, to say goodbye to you all. It has been my pleasure to be with you in this evening. I hope that you all received the answers that you were seeking, and I give you all my blessings. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm back. So, okay, well, it's nice to be here with you again, and so I hope that you had a good evening. Do any of you have a question for me?
How is it you're so happy?
Excuse me?
How is it you're so happy?
Because I'm just happy.
Okay. You choose to be
Life
happy.
and spirit is wonderful. And I get to help the medium. And isn't that good? I
That's
think
wonderful.
so. So
Yes.
that's why I'm so happy. Okay. Well,
Juana,
remember, I love you all. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.